Our next speaker is Mr. Josep Paradells, member of the Wireless Network Group at UPC Barcelona Tech. He will explain the research story in smart cities and several projects developed at this university.
Okay, I am very happy to be here to share with you some of the developments that we have done in UPC and together with Fundació ITUCAT, which is another associated research institution where we collaborate. Okay, and my talk will be more or less the history of different issues and how we provide some solution, and in this sense, we try to be innovative, providing solutions a step ahead of what the market will ask, okay? So my talk will be based on presenting, for example, several needs and how we provide some solutions to these needs, and in this way, we think that we can anticipate what really is needed and to anticipate some solutions to the problems that are becoming. And you are going to see that most of the projects that we are going to talk has been in collaboration with companies, with other research institutes, okay? So in this sense, we try to promote collaboration and also innovation, okay? So the first thing is I will talk the first, at the beginning some years ago, we think that probably it was one of the first smart city, but the concept of smart city is very wide, so I am afraid that probably it is not going to be the first, but at least in the local terms, it is going to be it has been the first. We are going to talk about the standards, because the standard is something that is needed in order to break silos, in order to reuse solutions. We are going to detect that there is a problem. We need some infrastructure in order to build a smart city. So we want to minimize the cost. We want to minimize the need of infrastructure. Also, a smart city requires some maintenance. Maintenance also is cost, so we want to reduce this maintenance, okay? And also, we want to minimize the deployment. So in this sense, we want to maximize the coverage of the smart city, okay? Okay, so, okay, the first project that I want to describe is a project that we initiate in 2007. It is a project that we managed to fund, and we have been several years with a PowerPoint presentation presenting this idea to several institutions, and finally we get some funding from the Generalitat of Catalonia, okay? And with this money, we build a smart deployment on Sant Vicenç dels Horts, okay? And there we build a smart city network able to capture information from different aspects on the city, to aggregate this information, and then to show this information in a website. This is something quite basic, okay? This is, for example, the kind of networks that we build. We have some sensors, for example, on the ground. These sensors send information to some aggregators we have installed on the city. In this case, we use a lamp post, okay? And these devices transport information from one lamp post to another until they reach, for example, to a certain point where we have a gateway. That this gateway is the one that is going to collect information from different sensors and then to offer this data to a website where we can present this information, okay? This is, for example, the location of the different sensors that we use. And if you see, this device is connected, is plugged to the electricity. For example, in this case, to minimize the deployment costs, we use the electricity installation that is already in place for the lights on Christmas. So this municipality has some pre-installed electrical connections to power the lights on the streets on Christmas. So we reuse this system. This system, for example, we have power during night because we use the powering of the lights, and during day we don't have power. So we have to develop some systems using batteries able to collect energy during night and then to use this energy during the day. Okay? We have several issues about the life of the battery. We have different releases, okay? And this system, more or less, it was the original of our network. But we see that, for example, it was during this time, from 2007, the past was going. Several companies appears having also smart city solutions, and these different companies basically have the same approach. They have different sensors, a backhaul network that is able to collect all the information, a gateway, and also they provide information to a central database. In some cases, this database is shared, but most of the cases it's an isolated database. This is a silo. And, for example, the municipality of Barcelona detects that this is something crazy, because if you have to monitor the parking place, you have to monitor, for example, the fillness of containers, and you need different sensors and different networks to capture different kinds of information, this is something that is no sense. So the Barcelona municipality has initiated a project, has promoted a project that it was called Barcelona Ciutat Intel·ligent, okay? And in this project, they proposed different issues, and one of the issues was to minimize the deployment of devices on the street. It is clear that we need a lot of sensors, so we have a wide number of sensors, but it is not clear why we need so many gateways, why we need so many devices that transport information from the sensors. And with this idea, they promote the idea of what they call, and the name is quite ambitious, is they call the universal gateway. So it was a device that is able to collect information from different manufacturers, okay? And at this moment, we collect information from one provider, Solertia, and also another provider, Urbiotica. Later, you are going to have some presentation from them. Also, so we support multi-protocol platform, and in this box, we have different interfaces that collect information from different providers. We collect all the data, we transfer the data, and then we deliver this data using one single interface and one single format. This format, it was based on a REST-based protocol, HTTP, CoAP, with formats like XML or JSON, okay? And this is, in this case, we provide one single solution in order to minimize some deployment on the installation on the city. Okay, we talk, in this case, you see that we have one company using one standard, another company using another standard. So we have, okay, we can minimize the number of devices, but we have different standards, So also, in a way to minimize, to reduce, we need to unify, for example, the protocols that we use for collecting and for transporting the data, okay? And also, at least inside our activity, in research activity, we have been collaborating with several institutions related to standardization, and mainly we have done some work in the ISO, in particular in the Spanish branch of the ISO institution, which is called AENOR, but also we work for a long time, probably there are more than 10 years that we have been collaborating with what is called Internet Engineering Task Force. These people is the people that is doing or promoting the standards inside the Internet, okay? And these people, several years ago, they proposed to use something like, for example, this protocol stack. They use IP version 6 because it's something that is required in order to support so many devices. They want to use UDP instead of TCP because it's a simple protocol, and also they want to use another protocol which is CoAP instead of HTTP because it's a more compact protocol, okay? And then we work in this, and for example, we're very, very happy because we have participation, active participation in all of these layers. For example, we are authors, in particular Carlos Gomez, it's a professor at the UPC, that we managed to have some RFC which has been approved. This RFC is not very important because it's an informative RFC, okay? But we are in a way to manage to be in another RFC, also the same guy, that is related on how to transport IP version 6 packets on top of 6 low PAN. In top of Bluetooth Low Energy. And this document, it is going to become a standard, okay? So this is the idea. So, okay, this is our contribution to the standardization in this area. We mentioned that to put devices on the street is very costly. We want to minimize the number of devices that we put on the street. So we say, oh, how we can minimize putting devices on the street? So try to avoid any aggregator, any gateway that you have deployed. And how we can do that? Okay, the idea is just to use a mobile device, a bus, and to put some sensors in some places, for example, in traffic, in bus stops. The sensor is capturing information, but the sensor is not connected to any place unless the bus reaches to the station. When the bus reaches to the station, the bus says to the sensor, hey, I am here. And the device is going to download all the data to the bus, and the bus, it is going to transfer the data to a central place. So in this case, we can suppress this backhaul network that we have presented before. Another interesting thing is that in this bus, we make a hole. This is not, but we put an ultrasound ranger. This bus, it was moving in the street. It was measuring the distance between the bus and the street and the cars. If the sensor detects some holes, the distance is higher. If a car is parked, the distance is smaller. So as we know which is the path of the bus, we know how many holes the bus has found, and in this way we can depict, for example, some graphics saying, okay, how many parking places are available. This information is just quite short in time, because after 10 minutes, for example, the information is not updated, okay? But if we manage having a lot of vehicles that are able to collect this information, this is a way to putting the sensor device on the bus. One single bus can capture a lot of information, replacing a lot of sensors that we can deploy on the floor. Another approach also that we have done in the framework of the SEAT UPC chair, okay, which is on the UPC. So we have developed an application on a smartphone that basically uses some OBD device that can be plugged in any of your cars because it's something mandatory. This is a bus that is for supervision, that is used for mechanics in order to check, for example, which is the status of your car. This device, it has a Bluetooth interface. We have the information from the car, and we have developed an application that is able to collect information from car, information from sensors, information from internet. And for example, we are able to provide some information about, for example, mobility, congestion. I know that this is impossible to see, but you have to trust me. Here we have a graphic showing the mobility of a car. This, for example, this mobility is an indication that we have in a congestion. This kind of mobility is start, stop, start, stop. So we have developed some software on the smartphone that when some pattern indicating traffic congestion is detected, the mobile phone, it is going to send a message saying, oh, I am not sure, but I think that we are in a congestion situation. If one single telephone user, it is going to say this, probably is not very trustable. But if we have a lot of devices that are sending this information, the municipality is able to collect information from different devices and say, oh, I have some indications that a lot of people is complaining about traffic congestion. Probably we have a traffic congestion. So in this case, instead of having any coils in the city, any loops in the city measuring the traffic, just using the mobility of single users, we can detect, for example, congestion on the street. This is another thing that we have done, and in order to minimize the deployment of infrastructure. Okay, in some cases, I have said, oh, we have to deploy some aggregators, some gateways, and we can say, oh, why I have to do that? If I have a network in the city, why I have to deploy another network? And for example, this is the case of Barcelona, and this is the case, for example, of UPC. We have a wireless network already deployed that morally is covering a significant part of the campus or significant part of the city. So in this case, what we have developed is just a device that is using Wi-Fi connectivity, and we have developed a set of sensors that can be easily plugged. Okay, and the idea is that this device is able to detect which is the sensor that we have plugged, and in this way to talk accordingly. So this device is able to connect to the corporate network of the municipality, and this device is able to implement a protocol that the municipality of Barcelona is promoting in this approach of opening the developments and reusing some technologies, and this is something that is called Centilo. Okay? This device, this project has been done by students. This is the result of a subject where we have 20 students working for a project, and we have had the collaboration of people from the municipality in the defining of the requirements and also in validating the result. And this is another interesting issue because we involve students. Okay? And this is, for example, an idea. This chip that we have here is the only chip that we need for building that. This chip costs around 13 euros. Okay? And this is one solution to build this platform. But, for example, this is another. I see that it's not easy to see, and this is the good thing. Okay? This is a Chinese Wi-Fi chip that costs less than $4. Okay? And you have to buy one. Okay? $4 if we buy one. And this chip has a processor, has a memory, has a TCP protocol, and also have a set of wireless interfaces. So this is the only device that, for example, that you need to build one single network that uses the Wi-Fi coverage that you can find. You can use this for connecting sensors, for example, in the network of the UPC. You can use this device for connecting sensors, for example, on the network of the Barcelona municipality. And this is something very cheap. So imagine the things that you can do when you have a hardware that only costs €4 buying one. Imagine that if you ask to these Chinese people, I want to buy 1,000. For sure that the price probably is reduced to the half. Okay? So this is very interesting. And in order to start finishing, another issue that we have, okay, I have a device, this device has battery, and the battery at the end is going to be exhausted, so I have to replace. So replacing a battery is almost as costly as deploying a new sensor, and in fact, okay, it is very costly. Okay? So we have to develop something that not uses batteries. Okay, we can have, for example, rechargeable batteries. But even if you use rechargeable batteries and you can use, for example, solar panels, at the end, the battery is going to be obsolete. After several tens of hundreds of recharging, the battery is going to die. So at the end, this is probably not the solution. The solution, what's that? The solution, at least, is something like this. What's that? This is a supercapacitor. Okay? This supercapacitor is able, for example, to store the energy that is needed, for example, to power one sensor device during more than one day. So if you have a solar panel, in Spain, we have plenty of solar energy. We can charge this. The number of recharging of this device is illimited. It is not illimited, but it is much higher than the one that the batteries. So using this, we have developed this device, for example, for Orange. In this case, we use a cellular connection, and we use a solar panel that is able to charge even indoors. So it is not needed to be outdoors. Using the light that we have here, for example, this device is able to send one short message every 3-4 hours. Okay? And so we think that is something interesting to minimize the cost of maintenance. And the last slide. This is something this is a project that has been promoted by the municipality of Barcelona. It is called Grow Smarter. Okay, this is a project that it is participating by several people from UPC, Barcelona Supercomputing Center, the CENIT, the Transport and Logistics Institute of Research in the UPC, and also we are participating in this project as Fundació ITUCAT. And in this project, we have a very small contribution that consists on putting sensors on a bike. This bike is going to be used in order to deliver goods inside the city. And in this case, we have some sensors which are in these bikes. And this is very interesting because instead of having one sensor that is collecting all the information that is surrounding the sensor, we put the sensor on movement. So this sensor, instead of capturing some information in one point, is able to capture the information in different points at different instants. So in this way, one sensor increases the coverage. And in this way, we minimize the deployment. Okay? And this is all what I want to explain. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any question, you are welcome.